Hi everyone, welcome to my next video. I have begun working on my book about being an estranged mom, and I will be self-publishing it, my target date, spring of 2026. I'm very excited. It's going to be a beautiful book written with compassion, empathy, insight, and inspiration. It's not going to be negative. However, it's going to reveal my story and my experiences and how I felt from those experiences. Not only how I felt, but what I learned and how I grew past it and how I resolved it all to find peace and contentment today. And along with that um, theme of writing my book, I gave it some thought as to some of the negative comments that I have now since deleted, because some of them had a common comment. And that was, well, there's two sides to every story. And I seem to have received a lot of those. And I realize that that is a common response from people who are doubtful, questioning my experience or anyone's experience. And it reminded me of something that someone had told me in my past. And I've been giving it a lot of thought because it really ties into why I'm writing my book. And I hope to keep this video organized because sometimes I have so much to say I'm not sure where to start. Years and years ago, gosh, this goes way back to when I was 40. And my soon-to-be ex-husband had just smashed me in the face with his fist. And my left eye, which is probably your right by looking at my video, I do have a small scar over my eye. Actually, it's not that small because he had a ring on. And I will never forget that moment as long as I live, because I was running to get away from him, as I often did, as he was screaming at me. And I was hiding in my bathroom. And I had told him to leave me alone for probably the 100th time. And he continued to scream. And in the very next moment, I had said, that's it. I've had enough. I want a divorce. And that door broke open, came off the hinges, and his fist headed for my face. And I had just enough time, probably a half a second, to turn my face. And that's why he hit me on the side of my face instead of not smack right in my eye, where I probably would have lost my eyesight. So anyway, without going into more detail, of course I threw him out and I filed for divorce. And after a few days, I decided to call his family because I thought, well, I'd like to see if maybe they'd offer me some understanding, some compassion. They know their son. His sister knows her brother. And I needed someone to talk to, someone that knew him well. What a mistake that was. I called his house, which was in another state, and his sister answered. And when I told her what happened, she said, well, there's two sides to every story. And she said it in that sing-song voice, well, there's two sides to every story. I'll never forget how she said that. And that response really upset me because I knew that she did not want to believe my story, and that whatever he told her, she was going to believe that version. So how does this relate to writing my book? And how does this relate to this video? Well, I realized that When people say there's two sides to every story in response to what you're telling them, what I get out of that is, for whatever reason, they don't want to believe your story. They are telling you that they are going to minimize it by stating that rather than offer you compassion, understanding, and at least an open ear, they're going to give you that there's always two sides to a story. Because they're going to take the stance that you may be accurate, you may not be accurate, but I'm going to take the stance that it might not be accurate and assume that the other story might be more valid. And of course, that's everyone's right. But it made me realize that what if my story is valid? You're not giving me the option of believing my story. Now, honestly, I could care less because I know the truth. I know how I crouched down on that bathroom floor. And I know how that door broke off the hinges and that fist smashed me right in the face. And I know because I will never forget it. But it made me realize that I believe that his sister did know the truth. Of course, she knew her brother. She knew his rage. He'd gotten into fights before. And I believe he even got fired from a company because he had told me he had gotten into a fight with a fellow employee, and he was terminated on the spot. And his temper was very widely known in town. So she knew. But now she was going to still give him the benefit of the doubt by saying, well, there's two sides to every story. Do I care? No. It was years ago. I'm over it. But that phrase still pops up, particularly with that video I did about being an estranged mom. And I realized that by sharing my true stories on here, I'm probably going to get that a lot. Well, there's two sides to every story, and what would your daughter's story be? And here's what I'd like to offer as my response to that, because I think this can apply to anybody who's sharing a true life experience, especially if it puts someone else in a questionable light. And first out of the gate is, it's my life, it's my story. Remember when we were kids, I don't know if you ever did this, but we used to sit in a circle, and I think we even did this in school, maybe first grade, and someone would whisper a sentence or two to the person sitting next to you, and then that person would whisper what they believed to be those two sentences to the person next to them. And it would continue around the circle until it got to the last person. And then the last person would reveal what they believed, what they heard, to everyone else. And what they revealed would be vastly different from the original version. And maybe that's human nature. But I think it also reveals a deeper concept going on. And that is that we all have our own perspectives. We all have our own ability to remember, to recall, and we all have our own past traumas that we filter our experiences through. And so I believe some of these comments, there's two sides to every story. It's true in a way, but honestly, there's more than two sides. Because if the person that's involved in your story has shared it with others, then those people are going to have their own versions. And the more they pass that story along, those people are going to even have another version. So what's true is true in terms of who wants to believe what's true. And I hope that makes sense. Because my memories are to the best of my memory, and I certainly am not on my YouTube channel to be untruthful, because people have been untruthful to me, and it is those untruthful people who react the strongest, because they don't want to reveal that they have been untruthful. I hope that makes sense. And so this really helped me in moving forward with my book, because my memoir, like my first one, I See the Elephant, is my truth. It was my life. They were my experiences. They were my emotions. They were my recollections. And they were my insights. And if someone else would like to write a book about my life, have at it. Your truths will be different, because first of all, you're not me. Secondly, I'm sorry, I just kicked the table. Secondly, you weren't there. And thirdly, you don't have the same life perceptions or frame of reference that I do. And I don't have yours. So I think probably what often happens is that we believe there is a universal truth, and that we all should arrive at that universal truth. But there is no universal truth. We are all experiencing our own lives in our own ways, reacting to them in our own ways, and either learning from them or not in our own ways. And my stories are not to find blame, find fault, or even focus on so much the details, but to focus on what the story meant to me and what I learned from the story and what value I believe the story had for me and for others. And I hope that makes sense, because that is what writing memoirs are all about. Because they're not about the story, it's about the meaning in the story. And so even if people want to question my story, you can't question the meaning, because the meaning is the reason for why I'm writing the story. And I hope that makes sense, because I would not be writing these books if it didn't have any meaning. And I'm probably floundering trying to explain this. But that's why all of these comments, there's two sides to every story. Well, of course there is. Is there right or wrong? No. There are perceptions, and there are recollections, and there are memories that may be right, may be wrong. But I'm not twisting my memories, and I suppose there are people out there who do, especially in the topic of estranged parents. Because yes, I have seen some very horrific recollections done with a hateful tone, with a blaming tone, and with a victim mentality tone, for the purpose of causing harm for the other party. And that is not my intent whatsoever, either with my videos or with my upcoming book. However, I am reclaiming my experiences and presenting them as that, my own experiences, because what happened happened. And what happened has value, not for only me, because I have gained value from what happened to me, but I want to show everyone else how you don't have to be a victim if someone else causes you harm, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And that is the value of writing my story. Now, sometimes the other party will become upset because what they have done has been revealed. And that is done every day in crime stories, in abuse stories, in abuse survivor stories. The abusers never want to be found out. They never want to be held accountable. And in my book, I hold myself accountable for what I contributed to the situation. And my book will reveal everything I hold myself accountable for. Yet I hold my daughter accountable as well. Not in a blaming way, but in a way to use our experiences as a way to move forward and as a way to celebrate honesty and to celebrate the way we can face our past mistakes, our past confusion, our past situations to move forward. Now, why am I writing this book? I'm writing this book because not speaking about it does nothing. Not speaking about past troubles will remain buried. And what I have learned, I believe, has intrinsically value, not only to me, but to others. And no guts, no glory, right? And I guess I'm that light in the darkness. I am not going to allow the darkness of denial to overshadow the things that have been dark in my life. And I'm going to bring that darkness into the light and reveal everything for the good. To reveal that even though dark things have happened, you can learn from it. And even though other people want to remain in that denial, you don't have to. You can speak your mind and speak your truth because it's your life and it's your story. And this is what I got out of that phrase, there's two sides to every story, because there are hundreds of sides to the same story. And I'm sure that my previous husbands have their own story. And I'm sure that they have weaved it for their own benefit. And I don't care, because I was there. They weren't. Well, my husbands were. But I was there. I know the story. And I'm over it. So the reason for my video is that I'm very excited to write my book. And I'm purposely going to withhold the new title. It fits perfectly with what I'm going to convey. And I'm set on probably April, May for my self-publishing date. And I'm very excited. And I'm also working on another book, which is going to be hopefully hilarious. And I'm going to do an experimental video after this one, if I can figure out how to edit, because I'm going to share 2 or 3 chapters from this book in my video here on my channel. And I'm going to be very curious what you all think of it, because this book is called 100 Life Lessons from an Old Lady. And I'm using all of my drawings that I created on medium.com in my articles. And since readers on that website thought my drawings were hysterically funny, I'm using them all for my book. And I'm going to incorporate them into a video on here and see how it works and see what you all think. So it's going to be a very rough video. It's not going to be anything fancy, but I have an idea how I'm going to do it. And I hope you all get a hoot and a chuckle out of it. So the next time someone says to me, there's 2 sides to every story, I'm not sure if I'm going to delete that comment or not. It's not really not intrusive or insulting, but it's a subtle way, I believe, of minimizing my story, my video, my experience. And that is a psychological tactic to dismiss your genuine account. So in a way, it's indirectly insulting without being too obvious. So I might let them slide. But I wanted to use that phrase because it's really helped me in moving forward with my book. And so please let me know if you have questions about this. this channel, I'm just astounded. I just reached 18,000 and something subscribers this morning. My goodness, you all mean so much to me, and you're encouraging me to create more videos, and you're encouraging me to be more inspiring, and to hopefully use my life and all of my mistakes to inspire all of you. And that is why I use my life examples, because I'm not ashamed of anything I did. I'm not ashamed of any of the bad choices I made. I can laugh at them. I can make fun of myself, and have at it. I'm having fun sharing them. so thank you very much. I'm not going to be doing many more videos outside here on my porch. Summer's almost over. It's September 7. I'm going to continue hiking as long as I can stay warm. And yeah, pretty soon, hopefully the foliage will turn and I'll get some really pretty shots out in the woods. So thanks so much, everyone. Feel free to share your questions, your comments, and hopefully I can figure out how to edit this next video and make it really fun and entertaining for all of you. So thanks so much, and I hope you're all having a really great day. Take care.